It was a day like any other, maybe a little more rainy than usual, but nothing that out of the ordinary. I strolled through my area, munching on lush, juicy grass without a care in the world. As I passed through the many bushes and small plants, I noticed an unusual sight, the sight of a small ship powered by oars coming into the shore. I realized that nobody had come and visited us in a very long time, probably because nobody lived past their time on our island. 12 men removed themselves from the vessel and marched up to my master Polyphemus's cavern. We rams heard some shouting come from within the cavern, and I expected that all 12 men had been eaten in an instant. Oh well, I thought. It was just like any other visit from any other man. The night grew darker, and Polyphemus called us in for the night. Polyphemus sounded more upset than normal, but I would have expected as much coming from the fact that he didn't deal with people much, and it didn't sound like his most recent interaction with them went too well. That night, I eavesdropped on the men and heard them chatting about their plans for an escape, relishing over my master's cheese that they had just eaten, and praying for the men that apparently had been eaten by my master. I was surprised at first that anyone had survived my master, but as I heard their intellectual and detailed plans, I understood more and more that they were far, far higher than my master in intelligence and logic. I was surprised, though, that they were complaining about the lack of receiving a guest gift. I had never heard of people demanding their host's possessions in my life. Perhaps it was a cultural value from where they are from. The next morning was a regular day for us. We were milked in the morning, and in the afternoon we strolled among the greenery, ate the plants that we pleased, and slept. Our master called us in that night, and I was surprised when I heard the voices of the small men once again, having been almost positive all day that these little men had been devoured by my humongous master. As I heard them talking, though, I figured out that some of their comrades had, in fact, been devoured by Polyphemus, but that may be the last of their losses, as they planned to escape the following morning. That night, my master was talking to the little men when I heard a loud scream. I peered into my master's room to find that the little men had the nerve to shove a spear in my master's eye. As my master lay there cursing, we rams had mixed emotions. Some of the rams were almost happy. Polyphemus treated them harshly, and they believed he deserved his fate, but I was rather upset. Polyphemus had always treated me well and favored me among all the other rams. I wish I could talk to my master in his language and warn him about the men's escape attempt, for they deserved karma for disrespecting my master that harshly. Very early that morning, when we were still in our pen, I heard some of my ram buddies rustling and baaing of discomfort. I was slightly confused and a little bit scared. Our lives are so monotonous that as little bit of something usual was enough to petrify us. I found out, though, that it was the men using us as their disguise. The biggest man was tying the smaller men to the bellies of my ram friends. What nerve! It didn't take him too long to finish his job, though I was afraid some of my friends would pass out from the extra weight from their men. I was happy when I was spared the job of having to carry around one of the savages when, to my luck, the big one chose me to carry him. I was considering laying down and squashing him, but the master came quickly, and I decided that it wasn't worth it to rat the men out. Although I disliked them, they were rather crafty. Polyphemus opened the gate to let us out. It broke my heart to see his eyes swollen shut the way it was, but I found it hard to walk with all of this extra weight clinging to my stomach. The master even noticed my slower gait. He stopped to pet me and asked why I was acting so abnormally. I stood there while my master caressed me and felt bad about hiding the men from him, and I was about to rat the men out when Polyphemus decided he was done with his compliments. The men are lucky that my friends and I are trustworthy. As soon as the master was inside, the men removed themselves from our bodies and began to tie us up. Confused and scared, we went along without standing up for ourselves. We should have while we could, because before we knew it, we were taken onto the men's ships, and soon we were sailing off to the new land. The ship was unenjoyable, and a lot of us got sick. We soon found ourselves on a new island, and it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what was happening next. We walked as a path to the very last second, when all of us were facing the fire. Hopefully these men realized the injustice they had done and got severely punished by the gods for it.